I was on the internet the other day, and I wasn't aware of a website called MGTOW.com, and it's a website dedicated to everything MGTOW. And I was browsing it the other day and came across this graph and got me thinking. I was looking less at the blue line and more at the orange. Regarding the MGTOW search line, the blue line, and I bet many of you are well aware of the explosion of MGTOW across the web that's currently happening. It's probably obvious to you. It's obvious to me. But what caught my attention was the line that represented to how to get a girlfriend search term. I'm assuming this trend is linked to the PUA movement in the early 2000s. Yeah, it was around in the 90s, and it was kind of in the mainstream, but it really hit the mainstream in the 2000s. I remember being in college in the 2000s, in the better part of the 2000s. And this was before I was, pretty good with women. I was living on campus. I lived right across the street, as a matter of fact, from a sorority in a co-ed dorm. There was beautiful women everywhere. I couldn't do anything about it. I got frustrated. So shortly thereafter, I turned to the PUA bullshit, pretty much. Watching videos, reading PUA material online. I remember one specifically. David D'Angelo, I think was his name. He did that cocky comedy series. And I looked him up recently, and the guy is still doing the same shtick. I mean, this was 2004, 2005 when I was looking at it. So he's been doing it for well over a decade. It's kind of sad, actually. And he still has his website, and he's still shilling his pickup methods. When I first came across him and his method, I thought he was a genius. His strategy made sense. And for what his program is, it probably does garner some deal of success. But it is completely unnecessary. Pickup artistry is completely unnecessary. I mean, yeah, come on. Pickup artistry is bullshit. I mean, if you really think about it, it turned us into clowns. I mean, we're literally learning a skill to entertain women. That's what pickup artistry is, essentially. It's like we're little monkeys banging around those little symbols for scraps of food in exchange for entertainment. And it got me thinking, why do we date? I mean, dating wasn't really a thing until recently. Probably within the last, I don't know, I have to guess 100 to 150 years, and maybe not even that. Dating is a product of the Industrial Revolution, I think. And let me explain why. Before the ease that our society in the West provided, before food on demand, before heating, before cooling, and especially before civilization itself, the act of dating did not exist. In times before the Industrial Revolution, women were married off by their fathers to the best man available that would accept them and their dowry. It was a guarantee that the woman and her children would be protected and provided for by that man. And even earlier, when the human race had not yet discovered the agrarian lifestyle, women would, as soon as they were fertile, rapaciously grasp onto the best available man and mate with him, and receive the provisions that he would provide them. These practices are long gone now that our society offers protection and provisions to women so easily. I mean, it's so easily obtainable to these women. I mean, sometimes without any cost to them. So when these modern women seek to procreate, instead of finding a man that provides them protection and resources in a harsh environment, personality and looks has become prerequisites for men to have, and they've become a priority to women. Sometimes it doesn't even matter if the guy is well off or even has a job, as long as he has a personality and as long as he has looks, and and if he's a bad boy, so to speak, then that definitely bodes well for him. So thus, you get the advent of the concept of dating in the late 19th and earliest 20th century. The act of a man having to actively court a woman for her sexual access. Alright, so let's just give an example. So just imagine you're about to go on a first date with a smoking hot chick you really like. So what do you do to prepare for this date? You clean yourself up really nice. You shower, you brush your teeth, spritz some cologne, put on a nice shirt, and of course you definitely make it a point to arrive on time, maybe even a bit early. And on the date, are you yourself? Do you act the way you act around friends, family, co-workers? No, of course not. You're on your best behavior. You're careful not to say or do anything that would offend her, but at the same time, you're trying to avoid being too stilted. It can be a nightmare at times, really. So how are we told by society, movies, TVs, PUA gurus, and even girls themselves on how to attract the opposite sex? Well, we are told to be funny, but not too funny, right? To avoid being perceived as a fool. We are told to be arrogant, but not too arrogant, because we'll be perceived as an asshole. We are told to hold an interesting conversation with entertaining stories and witty banter. But remember, don't talk too much, because women love to hear themselves speak. I mean, this really turns us into clowns. We're supposed to perform a juggling act for a woman with whom we go on dates. Dating and women's current unbridled hypergamy has transformed us into entertainers for women. Before dating, this concept of dating, our accomplishments in the acquisition of resources were all that was necessary to display to women our sexual and genetic fitness. Now we must put on display our competency in being funny and holding a conversation. I mean, have you seen the peacock with the big, beautiful green feathers? You know, that's the male. That's the male peacock. If I remember right, the female peacock is not as pretty. It's actually fairly ugly. The male peacock is the pretty one, and the one with the most attractive and bigger feathers usually get to mate more. So essentially, we're just supposed to be the peacock. So what else has the advent of dating brought us? Well, there's Valentine's Day and the obligations that men are expected to fulfill for their woman on that day. Extravagant weddings, because women are told by society when they are young that they deserve a large, beautiful wedding. Also, men are expected to buy jewelry, flowers, and other gifts for women on multiple occasions, even dates. I mean, we're cucked as men. We're required by society to cuck for these entitled women. Men, we are not women's playthings. We are men. We accomplish things, accomplish great things. I mean, we have built cities full of tall skyscrapers that touch the heavens. We have developed and maintained levels of manufacturing that has transformed our Western society into the wealthiest nations ever to exist. Men, we built the Transcontinental Railroad in the United States that spanned 4,000 miles from one coast to the other. A modern feat that required back-breaking, unprecedented work. We built structures in Europe that are unparalleled in their beauty and splendor. Now look at what we've become. Single mother-raised cucks that are expected to grovel at the feet of women. This is what MGTOW is. It's not only a movement that opposes divorce laws and single motherhood and women's out-of-control hypergamy. It's an all-encompassing movement composed of men who are fighting to get back their dignity, to stop being the monkeys in clown suits for women's entertainment. And we are here to take back the reins of society and of families, to steer our civilization away from the precipice of suicidal decline, back to the prosperity and success that we are accustomed to. Men, don't be clowns. Go MGTOW.